Lights come alive, engines roar tonight. We drive from Laguna Seca to Usher Slibben's course. Clio warriors lining up with full force. Heat race is split, stand and starts ignite. 2 laps in quali, chase that pole tonight. Bonus points waiting if you keep it clean. In the Renault Clio League, we're chasing the dream. Call Clio League Season 2. Feel the rush, we're coming through. 12 weeks, 12 tracks, 12 fights to the end. From the club to the international bands. Broadcast live for the world to see. Clio League, this is where we wanna be. Clio League Season 2. We race, we fight, we battle through. Heat races first, then feature 1. 15 minutes, pedal down, get it done. Feature 2 with the invert spin. Fight your way back, and the bonus points begin. Incidents free earns you points to spare. Hard charges flying through the air. If you win them both, clean and true, 10 more points, that's how champions do. Call Clio League Season 2. Feel the rush, we're coming through. 12 weeks, 12 tracks, 12 fights to the end. From the club to the international bands. Broadcast live for the world to see. Clio League, this is where we wanna be. Clio League Season 2. We race, we fight, we battle through. Laguna Seca, we race it. Los Sebring Club, we chase it. La Daytona Short, we own it. La Tsukuba, we've shown it. La Monza Junior, we fly. La Knock Hills Twist, we try. Got Usher, Slim and B, we'll never say goodbye. Oh, Clio League Season 2. Feel the rush, we're coming through. 12 weeks, 12 tracks, 12 fights to the end. From the club to the international bands. Broadcast live for the world to see. Clio League, this is where we wanna be. Clio League Season 2. We race, we fight, we battle through. One dream, one league. It's me and you. Clio League Season 2. Go.
Welcome to the virtual Tsukuba circuit located in Shomatsuma, Japan for the 5th round of the Renault Clio League. Front, we are getting ready though. There was a jump start for a driver there, and it is Jeffrey Schneckel who has jumped the start, and it is a driver who not got off the lane at the very back. I'm trying to figure out who that was. It was Paul Braunstein. Oh, let's jump back. There's contact. No, it's contact and a spin from Jared Swain. Wall here. Up the inside of Eric Martin. Migon's really deep here in the wet. He's off the circuit around that curbing of 8, but it is going to be the long way round. Is it going to work out? It doesn't look like it is. Or is it? Because it looks like he's got a fantastic exit. Matt Malone found speed on the exit there, taking a wider line. Remember, he's gone a little bit wrong through the hairpin though. Up the inside goes Zach Gould, and Gould makes that move through. A lovely move up the inside for him. Gwilym is going to go for the inside line on Martin. Malone's very wide there, could become 3 wide. He cuts it in just in time. But they have both held it. Matt Malone now up the inside. There's another bit of contact. Malone takes 5th overall. But here comes Philip van der Hoek around the final turn to win the Heat Race 1 in Division 1 It's Stephen Hurd in third and Mark Todd in fourth. How's this fight going to end behind Eric Martin? It's going to win! D2! What just happened? How did Matt Malone survive when he was sideways? They are lined up and they are preparing and they are off at the start of this one. It is Vukovic pulling away out front. Henriquez trying to hold on to second behind as they come through turn number 1 at the moment down the order. And there's contact! Riley Downey and Anthony Hilton as they head up towards the turn 9 hairpin. McBuller just a lot later on the brakes. Can he go for the speed this time? He's gone for the speed. Is he going to switch to the inside? He does. He looks to the inside. Matty Quidlan behind. Looking to the inside as well, but way too far back. Just trying to follow the slipstream of the driver with more speed. And that is up the inside of McBuller, up the inside of Joel Swain. A little bit of contact. Swain trying to get as tight as he possibly can. Couldn't get any tighter because McBuller was there. Up towards the hairpin there, and this has invited Matty Quidlan into this fight. But Vukovic wins the Division 1 category as he crosses the line here at Tsukuba. Henriquez takes second ahead of Fox in third, and Anders Hagland, for the first time this season, wins the D2 category. As the lights go green, we are away. Who can get the better launch? It is looking dry here. And that being said, Vukovic and Hurd all on dry tyres. They are all on dry tyres. Most of the field still on wet tyres. There is still a little bit of spray. Vukovic drops down and could have tried to go for the lead. Couldn't quite do it. These wet tyres seem to be the play here. Matt Malone is coming through on the outside. Could this be a mistake to go onto the dry contact? And that is Van der Herk spinning Vukovic. And Matt Malone just parting the waves like Moses. Gaggle of drivers heading out to the hairpin. Drivers going straight on. It is 5 wide in the hairpin at Tsukuba, and around a driver goes into the wall. There was Stephen Hurd. Over. It will all be down to how many drivers are reversed. Feature 2. Contact and a driver into the pit wall. That's the Formula Llama machine. He tucks it up the inside. Can he hold it? It looks like he can. Going to dry up enough by the end of this race that the dry compound tyres are going to be worth it. 3 wide on the exit. Are the wet tyres going to play onto the benefit of D2 leader Jared Swain? He tucks behind Vukovic. Through turn number 1, a wider line there from Swain, and it is a 109 flat from Van der Herk, who was not fighting with anyone last lap. And you can see he's closing into Ian Lane behind as well now. So these dry tyres are certainly now coming into play as Vukovic made a way around the outside of Swain and had a great run. Now looking up the inside of Jared Swain. Vukovic put a 108.6 behind. That's Gwilym and Fox side by side. Hagland gets the inside of Hilton. There is contact. There's more contact for Hilton. There's more contact. They all settle themselves down, but it's for second. It's wet tyres versus dry tyres. The dry tyres on the outside have got so much speed. And through goes Milan Vukovic. And up the inside goes Van der Herk. He's got a great amount of speed. And he's going to have the inside line up towards the final turn. But it is Luis Henriquez who wins feature race 1 on the wet tyres. Milan Vukovic takes second on the dries, followed by Van der Herk on the dries, and Matt Malone on the wet. We're green and we are away here for the final race of the day, as our Division 2 drivers are the ones leading us away from the very front of the field. Paul Braunstein has a meatball flag at the very start of this race. Will be going down pit lane and his feature race is done. Contact there, 2 drivers falling down the order, trying to see which drivers have fallen down. It's Matty Cridland and Michael Wynn. Matty Cridland was the highest starting D1 driver. He has fallen down though, as there's more contact behind as the straight continues, and it looks like that may have been Matty Cridland getting into some more issues behind. Out of turn number 1 though, and the first lap of 17 expected is done. For second, Jeffrey Schneckel got black flagged in Heat Race 1 and Feature Race 1 for jumping the start. Has not been black flagged this race and is now side by side with Zach Gould as they look for second position. Schneckel gets it up the inside and holds on to second, and as Hagland moves through into third, and Gould is now the driver with Vukovic behind him, side by side with him as they go through Swaim up the inside. He has got Clayton McBullough on the outside, who switches across to the inside, and McBullough makes that move. As here comes Stephen Hurd to try and follow through. Got Philip van der Hoek behind as well. Vukovic does move into second overall out front, but this is a 2x2 action, and Joel Swain is in the middle of a D1 class battle right now. We've got Clayton McBullough, van der Hoek. Even with the inverts that normally have put him out towards the front, he's just not able to hold it usually. Side by side ahead, side by side behind. Philip van der Hoek on the outside of Clayton McBullough couldn't quite do it. Stephen Hurd on the inside of Matt Malone could do it. This is Edgar and Vukovic fighting out for the overall lead. Edgar's going to want to hold it because that is Jeffrey Schneckel just behind. Edgar drops behind Vukovic here into the final turn. But Jeffrey Schneckel now could be in with an opportunity to try and take the lead in the D2 division right now. Henriquez trying to get past Edgar. This would be for third overall, but it's not for any class positions. He's going to go around the outside here, is inviting Harry Fox in. You can see why he needed to do it. Matt Gwillem's getting involved in this fight as well now. Up towards the hairpin. Just trying to keep Fox behind him as we head up towards the final turn. It is going to be Milan Vukovic once more wins Feature Race 2 from 18th on the grid. Schneckel wins Division 2 after 2 unfortunate penalties at the start of this race. Welcome to the virtual Winton Motor Raceway located in Victoria, Australia for the 6th round of the Renault Clio League. Our last race of the month, and ahead of another week's break next week, the competitors are once again raring to go on a tight circuit for the collection of races ahead of them again today. If you want to watch all of the previous races or just the extended highlights from each round, then head across to our website or our YouTube channel to catch up on all of the racing competitions so far. As this event heads us into the midway point of the season, drivers will be hoping for a strong end to the first half today. And don't miss out on passionate and professional broadcasts at a competitive price for your league, as the Beehive Bill website is now available. Book our services, sit back and relax as we bring your league to the big screen from as low as £25 an hour. Some great battles last week at Tsukuba, with one of the most exciting races of the season so far during Feature Race 1, with the changing conditions and the split tyre decisions. Today, however, there's no chance of rain, so drivers will be focusing on the 10 turns here at Winton. As we head towards our second week off, let's have a recap of the upcoming season calendar as we reach the halfway stage of the championship. Our second week off comes next week at the start of September, before we head to Europe for the back end of our season. The Temple of Speed, Monza, followed by the fastest circuit in the UK, Thruxton, and the world famous Nürburgring circuits at the end of the month. As we head into October, we get our final week off before heading to the Scottish Highlands and the Knockhill circuit back to back. We then head back across to Germany for the final round of the season at Oschersleben. The Renault Clio League hosts 4 races every week with its unique and exciting format of racing. Following a brief qualifying session, our drivers will be split in 2 and visit the track in 2 10-minute heat races. They all join back together for the first feature race of the day, 15 minutes and full points on offer. Finally, the drivers head onto track for the last feature race of the day, 20 minutes and a random inverted grid. At least 15 drivers will be reversed for that race, and we could even see the whole field reversed. Not as many points on offer for finishing position in that race, but a whole load of bonus points. Talking of points then, how do our championship standings look after our first break of the season and then our return last week at Tsukuba? 2 different classes out on track each race, so let's start with Division number 1. With the championship conditions and some post-event penalties being applied at Tsukuba, our championship standings in Division 1 still sees the dominant Milan Vukovic pull a 130-point lead at the top of the standings. Stephen Hurd remains in second, pulling a gap to those behind, and Fox moves up into third, and a huge amount of positions gained by Henriquez. The points on the standings are incorrect. He is actually on 139 points and just 4 points off of Fox. After moving up from 12th the round before, Henriquez is seeing a huge gain in the last few weeks. In his debut race last week, we see Van der Herk move into 13th in the standings with some great results at Tsukuba. Looking at the Division 2 Championship, and Jared Swain moves into the lead of that one with 218 points. Riley Downey remains in second, just 12 points back, moving ahead of Anthony Hilton, who falls to third, just 3 points further back from him. Anders Hagland, with a class win last week, moves into 4th in the championship and is in a tight fight with Richard Edgar. Of course, both of these championship standings are without any drop weeks currently being applied, but they are going to be applied for the next championship round as we head into Monza. So we're going to be able to see a more accurate picture of how both divisions line up. The Winton Motor Raceway then, nicknamed Australia's action track. It opened in 1961 and it has held host to the premier Tin Top Series of Australia since 1985. Updated in 1997 to include the national circuit, we're going to be running the original 1.26 mile layout, described as running a marathon around your clothesline. Today is going to host some fantastic racing with tight turns and great switchbacks to create some excellent side-by-side action. So sit back and get comfortable, get out your popcorn and get ready for a couple of hours of Clio action. This is the 6th round of the Renault Clio League Season 2. And I hope you are all having a fantastic week today. Unfortunately, we do have a slight issue with our Atvo overlay today. Our custom theme has decided not to work, so we are going to have to, unfortunately, stick with our default theme here today. But that's okay. We've still got our classes, and we're going to be able to see all of the D1 and D2 drivers, so we'll be able to figure out who is racing who in this one, and we'll get it fixed for when we return in 2 weeks time at Monza. No race obviously next week, our second of 3 breaks that we're going to have in this 12 round season, but this race does mark the halfway point in the championship. We are going to be 6 rounds completed out of 12, and it's really nice to see a familiar name back in the server today. We see Mohamed El Hilary back out on track again. We've not seen him since Daytona, I think. It was even before Daytona. Was it Daytona? I think it was Daytona the last time we saw El Hilary, so it is nice to see him again. He's obviously fallen down the order in the championship, but he is going to try his hardest to move his way back up there, I'm sure. Vukovic near the top of the standings here in the practice session at the moment, of course, as is Van der Herk. Van der Herk obviously debuting this season last week at Tsukuba, managing to go for some good results. Obviously, those changeable conditions in race number, well, the feature race number 1, gave Van der Herk and Vukovic an opportunity on the dry tyres towards the end of the race. It is nice to see so many cars out there. What I am going to say is we do not have trading paints open at the moment. It's always the one thing I always forget. So we will get that up now for us so that we can get our custom liveries here. Because of course we want our custom liveries before we go and see all of these cars out on track for real. If you do want to take part in this league, head over to the Discord for the Renault Clio League. It's linked in the YouTube videos underneath all of the highlights and the full race replays. Plus, underneath the Twitch page, there is a panel for the Renault Clio League. And if you click that, it will direct you across to the Discord and you can find out all of the information over there. And it is filling up. It is really good. Over 100 drivers signed up for the league. Of course, we're not seeing quite so many as 100, but we are almost at 50 drivers who have taken part in this league. If I'm not mistaken, we're at 48 now drivers that have got points in the championship standings here. First round of penalties were handed out last week then. That was covered at the very end of the highlight video. So we had a disqualification from just feature race 2, that was, and that was for who was that for? That was for Mark Codd, who got disqualified from feature race 2 for a potential it was only a potential intentional wreck, which is why it was only disqualified from that one round, but it obviously is now a warning going forward about intentional wrecking. And then there was a disqualification and a suspension for another driver for 2 rounds, and I forget what name that is, because I don't think it's important to focus on the penalties in this league. It's important to focus on the racing and the championship action. Of course, Vukovic is doing a great job at the Division 1 championship right now, absolutely dominating that, but the drop points are going to come into play, and Vukovic has not had a single terrible round. I'd say he has had some poorer races, that's for sure. I'd argue that Sebring feature race 2 was a poorer race for him, but we shall see. I'm also noticing that we are having some connection issues today, which is a real shame, and hopefully that won't cause too much of an issue with our connection in the sim or to the broadcast, but I am seeing some connection dropping there, so hopefully that'll all fix itself up, and I'm not too sure why that is occurring today. The setup is in a different room today, so it's possible that it is just a movement of the setups as the entire thing decided to drop there. But the practice session is continuing here. We've got about 5 more minutes, and I am going to take advantage of this 5 minutes to actually go and see if I can figure out what some of these connection issues might be. So the stream may drop for a moment and then come back, but we are going to have a quick refresh on our internet, and hopefully we'll be all back in a moment's time. So don't go anywhere. Qualifying is in 5 minutes' time. And we've got fingers crossed that all of the connection issues will be sorted for now. We may have to reload into iRacing after all of that, but I do believe I've fixed connection issues running around like a madman. However, I do believe that the issues are fixed, which is exactly what we need. Like I said, I think we're going to need to reload into iRacing to get ourselves done, so we will get that done now. Unfortunately, these sort of things occasionally happen. They do happen every now and again where you do have issues like this, so I do apologize for that. And we will get ourselves loaded back into iRacing, but it is about to be qualifying though. Practice is coming up to a close right now. We might not quite get in for the qualifying session, but that is also okay. I'm just also going to have to completely close and reload my iRacing from scratch, and hopefully everything here will be working nicely indeed. It's just unfortunately how these things occasionally go. You do get issues no matter how many times you practice, set up, get everything ready. But there you go. It looks like my connection has settled itself down now, and I think I figured out what the original problem was. This is the first time that I am streaming from the new setup, so it was bound to have issues. I should have done a test stream earlier in the week. I know I should have, as I got this setup moved into the new place, but that's how it goes, unfortunately. Anyway, we are loading back in. Some good names coming out today, so ones to focus on, obviously. Jared Swain has just gone to the top of the Division 2 standings after being down in third position for a little while, and Anthony Hilton, after leading the championship pretty much all season long inside the Division 2 category, has fallen now down and out of the championship as well, which is, well, out of the championship lead. He's down to third. Certainly not out of the championship, only a couple of points off of Riley Downey. And only about 15, 16 points off of the championship lead. So it's not a huge amount, and something that can easily switch around for the start of this race. So looks like we're getting in. Qualifying has started and it is underway. I've still got to get all of my overlays up, so we might take just a moment until we are into the server, and that's okay. We will try and catch anyone as quickly as we possibly can here. As you can hear, we are into the server, which is great, and we are going to go and pick a random driver to go and ride on board of. If we can, let's ride on the roll bar here as we get ourselves sorted, and let's get across, and here we are. We are riding on board. This is on board Matt Malone. As we will get our Atvo launched, we were going to ride on board the number 83 machine of Matt Malone. He comes through up towards the end of the lap. This is the tightest part on the circuit, in my opinion. It's going to be really tricky to race through. The 8, 9, 10, the Motorsport News S's. Along the BP Ultimate straight here and into turn number 1 of Honda corner, and up then to Nissan corner. A lot of sponsorships here, that's for sure. Through turn number 2 here and up towards Foot Waist Straight. What are these corner names? Let's get our live timing available for those of you that want to go to live timing. It is beehivebillbroadcasting.com/live-timing. And you can get all of the live timing up there. As it looks like I have got something all sorted here. Through turn number 6 comes Malone, then up towards Kidamy corner, turn number 7, turning to the right here, trying to keep it nice and tight in the 83 machine as we just get things all loaded. And it looks like we are getting a good job of getting things loaded, actually. And let's see if we can get some information up. There we go. Like I said, unfortunately, we do not have all everything that I want to have up today. We don't have our custom theme. We're having to sit with the normal Atvo theme, but at least we're live and everything else seems to be working, which is a positive. Matt Malone, where did he go? He went 9th fastest. Vukovic, of course, overall fastest. Let's go have a little watch at him now, see if my hotkeys work. They do work. They do work. My hotkeys are working. Excellent news. Everything is working fine as the timer comes towards the end here. We are watching. This is Milan Vukovic. He is the fastest in the session at the moment, all the way at the top. As you can see, we are going to get names up here, and it looks like my driver name abbreviation is not working either. Nothing is working this week on Atvo. There's an update that I didn't work out properly, so there is some issues there, but we'll fix it. A lot of D1 drivers this week. This is the important thing to know about our championship standings here. Between the two championship standings, you can see just how many D1 drivers we have and how few D2 drivers we have. That being said, can Vukovic go faster than Swaim? No. The D2 championship leader sits on pole position right now. Jared Swaim, no, there he goes, gets beaten by El Halawi, but Jared Swaim is up right at the very front. Only 6 D2 drivers out today. There are 16 D1 drivers. So if you're looking at a championship fight, it's definitely the D1 drivers. But looking at those in the D2 championship, there's a lot not here today. Jared Swaim is on for a dominant run here in qualifying. In the whole event, because he could go quite far up the order, as it looks like pretty much everyone has done a lap time. Bob Rocks has not done a lap time. I can't see him, no, but it doesn't look like he is out. He's not. We got a few drivers out here, but for some reason I can't display them. Are you gonna show them to me? There we go. Let's see if we can get Poplet out. Poplet should be out on the track. He is. Here's Bob Poplet. He's the only man without a lap time in the session so far. He sits obviously at the very, very back without a valid lap time in at the moment. And that being said, he is on his 4th lap. So I don't think Poplet has managed to put in a valid lap here. As qualifying is coming to a close, let's see if we can get... As I try to remember what all my hotkeys are. My hotkeys are not working today. Excellent. Nothing is working today like I hoped it would. This is going fantastically. Let's have a little bit of a look then at how the race, how the qualifying grid shows at the end of that one. So heat number 1 will be your drivers on the left, of course. Heat number 2 will be the drivers on the right. El Halawi takes pole position in heat 1. Jared Swaim, though, has done a phenomenal job. He will start pole position in heat race number 2, exactly what the D2 championship leader needed. But in heat race number 1 is El Halawi, followed by Vukovic. McBuller is then in 3rd position, followed by Bradbury. Then it is Cridland and Anfield behind. Then it's Richard Dempsey who returns to the series. He's got Neil Rocks there as well and Harry Fox. And then at the back, the only 2 D2 drivers in the Heat 1 race is championship contender Riley Downey and Zach Tebow. They are getting themselves ready here out at the front of the grid. Let's see how this all lines themselves up and what they are able to do as we are going to get ourselves prepared for this one. Like I said, I don't know why none of my buttons are working. I'm going to have a complete overhaul over the next couple of weeks before we head over into Monza and the return of the Matt Malone Patreon League as well for that 2nd season, and everything will be fixed by then, I promise you. Having to do a different mic as well, I'm sure you can tell, due to my old one breaking. It was breaking during the Tsukuba event last week. A few bits of popping throughout the event as I felt it just dying. But this grid lining up, El Halawi at the front of Vukovic, a very competitive front row here. McBuller behind with Bradbury as well. So all of the D1 drivers at the front of this field, followed by Downey and Tebow in the D2s at the very back of the field, as they are preparing themselves to head away here. It is going to be a 10-minute race for the heat races, and it is going to be approximately 10 laps of racing here. So El Hilary and Vukovic, definitely two drivers to keep an eye on. It is El Hilary on pole position. Vukovic not able to make his way even into the top 2 for the first time this season. Last week at Tsukuba was the first time he didn't get pole. Today he took 3rd overall. It's 2nd on the grid as we prepare for heat race number 1 here. And away we go. Heat race number 1 is underway, and we head up towards turn number 1. Vukovic tucks in behind, straight away off the line there to try and settle themselves down into their positions. They certainly have a number of teammates racing in this one, but they have all settled themselves down straight away, and that is what a few of these drivers are going to be hoping for. It is a very tight track. You can see at the back here, drivers just running over the curbing. That's Richard Dempsey. He's behind Kevin Anfield in the grey Renault Clio. Ahead of him, the owl machine of Dempsey following behind with his beady eyes. Up in 3rd, McBullough tried to get past Vukovic. It looked like up the inside of turn number 7 in the Formulama machine. Couldn't quite do it. Up now towards turn number 8, 9 and 10. These Motorsport News S's at the very end of the lap. Those curbing, they can be harsh, but in the Clios, they're not too bad, and that is how these drivers are going to be hoping to take that, is not too bad in these machines. They can really take a beating. They can really bump themselves over the curves, but the drivers have settled themselves down here. We had some talk in the Discord over the last week about how the race here was going to go. There were certain concerns about how tight this circuit was. That wasn't saying that it wasn't going to be a great race. It was just going to be, there could be a bit of bumping and banging, especially as the races go on and off the circuit. That was Neil Rocks who ran off the circuit there. He's sitting inside the top 10 in the Division 1 standings. He goes off the circuit and will now be having to recover that as he falls behind Downey and Tebow. Let's get the timing tower up for you. As you can see, El Hilary and Vukovic here has pulled away at the front. There's almost about a second between the two of them, but then it's a further 1.5 seconds down to McBullough behind. And he has got Bradbury and Quinlan and Will Dempsey. Train of drivers that goes all the way to Downey there at the background, if Downey's able to do anything with it. But here's an overtaking opportunity as Fox goes up the inside of Richard Dempsey up towards turn number 1, takes advantage of slightly more speed out of turn 10 and gets a good run up towards turn number 1. As we head now, continuing through this lap, this is turn number 3, the really long left-hander. Easy to pull yourself wide. We saw here drivers going wide. There's some side-by-side action going on ahead as well. This is Kevin Anfield. He is right behind Matty Cridland as Bradbury and McBullough side-by-side for a podium position here. McBullough pushes wide. Bradbury goes for the switchback. It could be 3 wide with Cridland getting involved. He doesn't. Bradbury holds ahead of McBullough here. But here comes Kevin Anfield. Can he try and get up the inside of Matty Cridland? He does. Anfield goes into 5th position. McBullough in 4th position now with Bradbury pulling ahead in 3rd. But here comes Kevin Anfield on the outside of McBullough. Can't do it into turn 1. There's some contact behind. He switches over to the inside of McBullough and he gets through into turn 2. Here comes Cridland though. Can he try now and get around the outside of McBullough? It's Fox involved as well as the Whisk Telemity drivers not wanting to get involved in contact themselves, going side by side there ever so slightly as we head up in towards turn number 5 of the Penrite corner. And then Richard Dempsey now getting involved in this just behind, trying to get through past Fox. But here comes Downey. Downey up the inside. It turns to the outside. Dempsey's going to keep it on that tighter line. Can Downey get a good exit here on the outside, on the exit, sorry, and towards the inside of turn number 8. Downey's got the overlap on Dempsey here. They go side by side. Are they going to keep it clean? They certainly are. Dempsey gets the inside on that switch over, and then he holds it in towards turn number 10. Dempsey keeps it ahead of Downey. That is a battle for overall positions, but not for points-bound positions, because Downey, even though he had a really poor qualifying, is going for first place in class here. He's getting max points out of this heat race as it stands. But he's not happy with that. He goes up the inside of Richard Dempsey. There's contact twice through the corner as there's more cars going wide up ahead. Dempsey somehow keeps ahead of Downey, but that is side by side between the two teammates ahead, Cridland and Fox. Fox on the outside. It isn't quite enough overlap to get to the inside there. Vukovic, the fastest man out on track at the moment, but he is still a second behind El Herreri, so he isn't quite going to be able to fight for the win at this stage, but it is a further 4 seconds back to Conrad Bradbury. That is how much of a lead those two leading drivers have got so far in this race. Up towards turn number 1, a couple of battles going on here. This is between teammates Cridland and Fox. Fox runs off the circuit though. Battle behind is between Dempsey and Downey, not for class position. Thibaut, even though he's at the very back of the field, he is taking second position in class and the points that go with it. So this split in the divisions for them, bearing in mind I think there was only 6 Division 2 drivers. They split it very well for Downey and Thibaut here, giving them the max opportunity that they could possibly have. Dempsey still under attack from Downey here. Downey is taking the win in Division 2, but he's not happy enough with that. He goes up the inside of Richard Dempsey. There's a little bit of door banging through turn number 7 as they head up towards turn number 8. Once again, Downey's on the right hand side of Dempsey. We've seen this happen before, that Dempsey was able to hold it as the car switched over, but they keep closer this time. A little bit of a scrape, but once again Dempsey keeps position and Downey has to drop back and will drop back into 9th overall with Dempsey ahead. 3 minutes left on clock and about 4 laps remaining in this one. The gap at the front has dropped to about 7 to 8 tenths of a second, but it is still not close enough for Vukovic to be able to try and take the win here in heat race number 1. This is one of the closer battles out on track, but there are still other battles going on, including between Conrad Bradbury and Kevin Anfield. This is for 3rd overall and 3rd in the D1 class as they come through turn number 7 here. Bradbury has moved up a couple of positions very well early on in this race. Could he move up another one by the end of it? I don't think he's going to be able to close that 5-second gap to Vukovic up ahead, but he could do something with this 2/10 gap that sits here right now between himself and 3rd position. Across the line they go and up towards turn number 1. A lovely livery, I have to say, on Conrad Bradbury's. It really stands out there. Very nice, I'm gonna say Miami theme there. Livery on his machine is quite nice, but he's being chased by that 36 machine of Anfield as we go through turn number 4. That is that right-hander. Turn 3 is the long right-hander. As we go again into these, if you can just get it to the inside on one of these corners, or even get it to the outside, it switches back for you, so there could be an opportunity. That's Zach Thibaut in the background at the top of the screen there, off of the track ever so slightly. He recovers though, but this is the battle continuing for 3rd right now. McBuller, Cridland, Fox, they've all settled down. Dempsey doing a good job of keeping Downey behind right now. We're coming up to about 2 laps to go in this race as expected for the 10 laps. We've then got heat race number 2 coming your way, which has a couple more. Oh, that's off. Who's that off the track and into the wall? That was Cridland. Matty Cridland, was that? Yes, it was Matty Cridland who went off the circuit at the final turn and hit the wall. Very easy to do. A mistake that I have made a number of times when racing at Winton. But it has allowed Harry Fox to close up right behind. Fox, one of the championship contenders, dives up the inside of teammate Matty Cridland here. They're side by side. Cridland's not going to give it to him easily, though, as they switch back over, though, and it gives Cridland the inside line. But you can tell that Fox backed out a little earlier, possibly going for a switch back later on in the lap. It's allowed Dempsey and Downey to close in, but not quite enough. Back up to this fight for third position, though, because we are going on to the final lap of the race. The white flag is going to be out in a moment's time as across the line comes Bradbury and Anfield. There is the white flag being waved. One more lap to go. You can see how close Anfield is. He's going to want to try and take this opportunity. Not only will it give him third in the race now, it will give him fifth position in the grid later on for feature race 1. Right now it will be 7th position in the grid, because each position gained here will gain you 2 positions on the grid. Can Anfield do anything with it at the moment? Chasing down the number 11. 2 different racing lines being performed by the 2 drivers there. It's all going to be about how can Anfield exit turn number 7 here. Could it line it up perfectly? It looks like the gap's just a bit too much for Anfield. But El Hilary returning to the Clio League after a few races off, and he returns in style. Pole position in qualifying and a win in heat race number 1 for Mohamed El Hilary. It is Milan Vukovic who takes 2nd position, and it is Conrad Bradbury crossing the line just ahead of Anfield in 3rd and 4th. And fortunately for him, due to the minimal amount of D2 drivers in this race, Riley Downey gets the win as, oh my word, we've just witnessed a terrifying death at turn number 1 as Neil Rocks throws himself into the wall. Downey does win division number 2. Let's get ourselves set up then with the results on that one. I love it when this happens because I get about 20 seconds to talk you through the results and the grid of the next race. So El Hilary won that one ahead of Vukovic. Bradbury in 3rd, followed by Anfield, McBuller, Cridland, Fox and Dempsey. Riley Downey took the win in Division 2, followed by Neil Rocks in Division 1. And then at the back of the field was Zach Thibault. Starting the qualifying grid here, then it'll be Swaim on pole position looking at the right-hand side, followed by Van der Herk and Ian Lane. We'll then see Codd, Cook and Lees, Edgar, Henriquez and Malone. And at the back, McIntyre and Poplet. 4 D2 drivers in this one. So it's not going to be as easy as it was for our drivers in the last one. But we are green and away here for heat race number 2. Jared Swain from pole position has got Philip van der Herk up his inside. They're side by side into turn number 1. Van der Herk wants to get past the D2 driver as quick as he can, and he has dispatched him straight away out of turn number 2. It is Van der Herk leading the way ahead of Jared Swain. As we look further down the order, they have all settled themselves down now. Yes, they had. They settled themselves out nicely. But here comes the 55 of Michael Lees trying to get up the inside of Cook. That's a mistake and a lock-up for Cook. Was there a little bit of contact? I was looking at another screen as that happened, but they are 2 by 2. This heat race number 2 being a little bit more action-packed on the opening lap here. This is Matt Malone being sandwiched in. He's got Bob Poplet pushing him behind. Richard Edgar's back there. Edgar's sitting quite pretty in the championship standings right now, but he's hoping to do a good result here. He is 3rd in class, though. That's something, even though he's near the back of the field. Only 4 D2 drivers in this race. It's a little bit harder for them. There's a lot of drivers taking the inside there. Could have cut the corner, could get some slowdowns as we head up towards turn number 1, and it looks like we have settled ourselves down. Matt Malone, though, looking to get up the inside of Luis Henriquez. Henriquez has gained 8 championship positions in this in the races in the last 2 weeks. He has absolutely flown up the order. Matt Malone, on the other hand, has fallen down the order, so not as well as that was Poplar off the circuit there. He returns to the track and will be trying to do something with that as he now sits in 7th in class at the back of this field. 10 expected laps again, of course. We're heading up towards lap number 3 already. These short 10-minute races, action-packed but great fun to watch. Jared Swain is sitting pretty, 2nd overall, 1st in class. He's got himself Lane and Cod behind, and then there is a bit of a gap down to his next driver in the championship, Mikel Lees here. I believe this is Lees's first race this season. I don't believe I've seen Lees so far this season. That name at least. As up the inside of Lees goes Cook, John Cook. Through turn number 1, gets that inside. We'll try to keep it there if he can. And he certainly does. Running a slightly different livery to the other Formula Armour drivers, but he is also a Formula Armour driver. So when we see other ones out on track, as we do a couple of places, as we saw, in race heat race number 1, they are teammates, even though they're running slightly different liveries. Back up towards the front here, Jared Swain is doing a good job of keeping Ian Lane behind. Lane is going to be coming up to turn 8, 9, 10, right behind Jared Swain, but also just ahead of Mark Codd. Now, Swain is not for championship position. He's not in the same class. At this point, Swain is allowing Philip van der Herk to pull away out front and not allow Lane or Codd the opportunity to win this one. So van der Herk would be looking at his mirrors and go on, boy, you can do this. Go on, Swain. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's doing a good line. Van der Herk knew that he needed to get through straight away. He did it on the first lap. He got through, and he is pulling just a small amount of a gap to half a second right now. He has got the fastest lap of the race, but it's the 7.24 of Jared Swain, who is in second position overall at the moment. Slightly different racing lines. That was definitely a lock-up for the Swain there, but these cars can deal with that slight lock-up. Being front-wheel drive cars, it's not too bad, but it is going to have the impact on the tyres in the longer races. Of course, still the longest race we ever do is just 20 minutes long, so it's not going to have a severe impact unless you're consistently doing it. Could have another opportunity here. It is continuing to be Lees and Cook fighting it out behind. They are fighting out for overall 5th position, but it is again not for championship positions because they are in 2 separate classes. But it is Cook behind Lees right now for 5th overall. Cook has got Henriquez and Malone. Malone goes wide, keeps it out of the wall, but goes so close to it. Getting contact from Edgar behind. Edgar and McIntyre switch positions just behind. Malone settles himself out. Poplet now just behind. Will be trying to get through. There is another Formula Armour machine, as I say, different livery but same team. Bob Poplet behind Edgar here in the Sainsbury machine as the Poplet looks to try and get through past the D2 drivers if he can, but he can't quite do it at the moment. Cook has now made his way past Mikel Lees, and Lees now down to 6th overall, still in second in class, of course. Henriquez just behind. Henriquez is going to want to get past because he's sitting right now 5th in class, not where he needs to be when he is pulling himself up into a potential championship fight with drop weeks from Vukovic in play as we continue on. A lot of drop weeks in play. Lees pushes wise and gets the 2 wheels at a final turn. Just trying to keep it out of the wall, of course. You can push it hard, but you don't want any damage in this race. We're halfway through then. Over 5 minutes down. 5 laps out of the estimated 10 completed right now. Jared Swain still holds on to second position in this race ahead of Ian Lane. Lane just not able to find a way through, but he is pulling a slight gap on Mark Codd. Codd has dropped down about half a second back now. It's the smallest amount, but it is an opportunity for Ian Lane to just have a bit of breathing space to line up a move to Swain here. But it's still 3/10 along the straight there to Swain, so the gap fairly evening itself out ahead and behind. Van der Herk has doubled his lead now, as that is a big moment for Jared Swain out of the final turn. Ian Lane needs no second invitation. He dives up the inside. He's up the inside again here. Swain on the outside holds it, and here comes Mark Codd up the inside of Ian Lane. What was an opportunity from Lane to get into second overall. He loses it down to 3rd in class. And Mark Codd is up to second in class and will now be the driver trying to get past Jared Swaim in this one. As we come up to 3 laps to go, we are closing in. You can just see on the left-hand side that Swaim is a tenth slower than Codden Lane on his fastest lap. But you can see just how dominant they are against the rest of the field. Cook, 8.5 seconds back, is about a second slower per lap, which is absolutely crazy. Some two-wheeling there for Swaim once more. And here goes Mark Codd. It's Codd's opportunity this time. Is Ian Lane going to play Codd back to favour? No, Codd knew what was going to come on with that. He backed out a little bit earlier to get himself in line, and he goes defensive. He knows that the position ahead will be great for bragging rights, but the position behind is the one that truly matters. He swaps over to the inside of Jared Swaim. The number 2 machine, Mark Codd, gets the inside. It's going to turn to the outside, giving Swaim an opportunity here to pull back at it, but it once again is going to swap over. He's going to have to hold it up around the outside because here comes Ian Lane to try and take it up the inside. Codd confirmed second. Ian Lane and Jared Swaim now side by side. Swaim onto the grass ever so slightly. Back onto the circuit though, but Lane has got that inside line and Jared Swaim has to back out of it. It's 4th overall, but it is still first in class. It does not affect his championship standings at all, but he is going back on the attack here on Ian Lane on the penultimate lap of the race. That was tyre lockup from Codd ahead, but he has pulled a gap side by side from Swain and Lane as they go through turn 2 and up to the long left-hander at turn 3, and Swain backs out of that one. Was it a purposeful lifting off and just allowing Lane the position? It's a long left-hander and a one that is hard to keep side by side from. Lock up from Lane there. Could he feel the pressure as we head up towards the final lap of the race? In towards turn 7 and up towards turn 8, 9 and 10. As Swain just falls about 3/10 behind here. But it is going to be white flag as Van der Hoek comes across the line at the front of the field. 4 seconds clear of Codd. That's how much the battling changed those times. Lease is still doing a great job to hold on to 6th overall as Cook just slowly gains away. But Henriquez still stuck in 5th in class. He's got Matt Malone behind him. Malone will be trying to take advantage of any small issue from Henriquez ahead that he can possibly take advantage on. As we head up towards turn number 5 of Penwright Corner. And it is going to be a good line there for Lease. Enriquez closes in, but it's not going to be enough. But here is Van der Hoek. Didn't start on pole, but took the lead in turn 1, solidified it in turn 2, and will just take the win here. And he raced number 2 over the curbing. Van der Hoek crashes almost across the line, as does Codd in P2. Ian Lane takes 3rd, and Swain wins Division 2. Over the line, the drivers come having some fun with that final curbing. But that is heat race number 2 done and dusted. We have completed the 2 heat races here today, and let's have a look at the results of heat race number 2. It is Philip Van der Hoek who took the win in that one ahead of Mark Codd and Ian Lane. Jared Swaim wins Division 2. John Cook took the Division 1 finish, followed by Mikael Lees, who took 2nd in Division 2. Lewis Henriquez, Matt Malone and Bob Poplar was behind, followed by Peter McIntyre, who took the final podium place in Division 2. And Richard Edgar finished 4th. Not too bad. It will still give him some good amount of results, championship points, at the end of this one, with there only being 6 D2 drivers in this week. All the drivers are lining up on the grid though, and we are preparing ourselves for feature race number 1. Is El Hilary from pole position ahead of Van der Herk. Vukovic from 3rd ahead of Cod, ahead of Bradbury, Lane, Anfield, Swain, McBuller and Cook are your top 10. 15 minutes on the clock here for feature race 1 and our 3rd race of the day. We are green and we are away as we head up towards turn number 1. Can El Hilary hold it? Yep. Van der Herk cannot get up the inside like he did in heat race number 2, so he will have to settle down in 2nd position right now. But it looks like all of our 22 drivers settle themselves single file here as we get started for this expected 15 laps of racing. Up towards turn number 4, there are some opportunities going on behind. That is the 142 of Clayton McBuller trying to get past Jared Swain. It then puts him under attack here from John Cook. The two teammates down on the inside. There's contact for Jared Swain, D2 championship leader with Clayton McBuller. McBuller moved to the right. I don't know if that was to try and let Swain do, but there were just too many position changes there. And that is a shame for Swain. Swain now side by side with Harry Fox. Fox has to let him go, as that was Darney off the jack of the back as well. Mikael Lees, as I think that's a slowdown for Swain. He swings to the inside. It's side by side all over the place. Contact between Swain and Fox. Fox is off, Fox is back on. But it is Mikael Lees leading the way in Division 2. Swain, championship leader, down a 2nd, and Downey, who sits 2nd in the championship, sits in 3rd in the Division 2 category right now, and that's another dive. The 55 machine of Mikael Lees trying to go for a position there, but it turns into an overtake opportunity for Cridland here. Matty Cridland through. This is great behind Jared Swain. I was about to say can take the opportunity here, but Fox slams into the rear of Swain. I think that's a front bumper missing now from Fox's machine. Cridland could not get the overtake done on Lees. Does not give Jared Swain the opportunity to get through there as he comes through the final assortments of corners and up to the timing line once more. As that was Henriquez getting the curbing, and it is going to give Richard Dempsey the opportunity behind, but that was also Swain up the inside of Cridland. Cridland and Swain side by side for 11th position, battling it out in 11th and 12th. Here comes Harry Fox though. Swain now has the 2 teammates to contend with. Fox is up the inside, Swain stuck on the outside line, and he is going to have to give that position up and give Lees another driver in between himself and 2nd in class. But here comes Dempsey. Dempsey up the inside of Swain. Swain is an absolute bowling pin in this race. He is getting hit left, right and centre. Dempsey opening up the opportunity possibly for Henriquez here just behind to try and get up the inside, and he doesn't quite make that move. But Dempsey still needs to get past Swain if he wants to try and close up to the drives ahead. Swain, however, is looking at those 2 Whisk telemetry drives ahead of him. You can see the front end damage that Swain has in his car. It's going to be slowing him down, but it is quite a slow track anyway, so hopefully not too much. Here comes Richard Dempsey up the inside of Joel Swain. This is giving Downey an opportunity just behind there. You can see Downey just a couple of cars behind, as that's Dempsey still looking up the inside. It will turn to the outside of turn number 3. Dempsey is going to have Downey just behind as Downey dives up the inside of Henriquez. Downey up to 15th overall, goes off the circuit though. That's going to be a slowdown, but it does not stop him from looking up the inside of Richard Dempsey. You can slow the car down enough while still racing here at Winton because of the layout of the circuit. You can see he's placing his car perfectly ahead of Henriquez and Malone, depending on who's got the inside line. Malone trying for the switchback just behind to get past Henriquez here if he can, looking at gaps up ahead. Van der Herk is close to Vukovic, but Vukovic is now in 2nd position. Malone is up the inside of Henriquez. They're side by side. Henriquez and Malone. There's contact into the final corner. There's more contact. Henriquez is wide extremely wide, but both of them just about managed to survive the final corner, and Malone now up to 16th place overall. Downey and Dempsey just up ahead, continuing to fight as well. This is Joel Swain. He has pulled away from Dempsey, still behind Fox and Quidland, but there is now quite a big gap to Lease up ahead as well. So I'm trying to keep an eye on all of these gaps that are happening. This is another fight going on nearer the front of the field. This is Cod in 5th, being followed by Lane and Anfield. All of these drivers were showing some really good paces, some really good pace in the heat races, and trying to bring it across here into feature race 1. 10 minutes on the clock, 5 minutes down, 10 more to go as we go into the final complex of corners here. As it's really off-putting seeing Matt Malone's face there, and trying not to say Malone is running around. It is in fact Ian Lane in that green, really weird livery machine. Cod just ahead of him as well, and then that lovely machine of Bradbury we just saw go underneath. Let's go and jump back to this collection of cars here. That's Quidland, Fox and Swain. Swain, again, he's going to be wanting to try and get past these. That gap now up to at least 2 seconds. Of course, this will still be a second position result. We've still got Downey behind him, but surely he's going to want to try and take full advantage of there being minimum Division 2 drivers here today and try to make his way up into position number 1 in class again. But he has got to get past a couple of drivers and close some gap. That being said, a real opportunity here to try and get past Harry Fox for 12th overall, as he's right on the rear here. Can he pressure Fox into some sort of mistake? And the main mistakes we see is coming out of turn 10, pushing it slightly wide and catching that curving, just like we see there, just like Fox does. And up the inside goes Jared Swain for 12th position overall, and it is one less car between himself and the D2 leader, Lease. Talking about leaders, Vukovic and El Hilary now, just 7/10 of a second between them, 6/10 at some points as well. El Hilary is the fastest man out on track right now, but we will keep an eye on that fight going on. But here comes Downey. Downey's going to want to try and get past some D1 drivers to close up to Swain here. He's fighting with Dempsey, as there's a little bit of contact between the two of them. As here goes Downey up the inside, more contact through turn 7. Downey's got the inside and will move up into 14th overall. Dempsey has still got the outside here, and if he can keep just enough of a wheel in, he could turn up to the inside. He backs out of it. He's going for the exit here. He's going to push as hard as he can and see what happens to Downey. Downey runs it really nicely though, and now, oh no he doesn't, he runs wide out of the final turn, and here comes Dempsey up the inside. Downey going to run the outside line though. We can see that speed on the outside line really works well here at Winton though, and Downey holds on to 3rd in class right now and 14th overall, but will not want that to happen again. He's now 1.2 seconds off of Fox. Back up towards some of the other fights that are happening. I'm just having a look here, and Bradbury is not too far off of Philip Vanderherk here. So Conrad Bradbury could be getting involved with a podium fight. Still about 8/10 of a second between El Hilary and Vukovic, so I am keeping an eye on this gap at the front, but as you can see right now, no overtaking opportunities presented to Vukovic as of yet. El Hilary running some very consistent laps. Of course, the fastest man in qualifying and continuing to be the fastest man here in the race as well. Lease and Swain are now line in, as that's Dempsey around in the background. Contact with Enriquez. Dempsey goes off the circuit. Enriquez involved in that. They're both back on. I believe Dempsey caught just a bit too much of the curbing, and it's thrown him off the circuit. He's up the inside though of McIntyre. McIntyre lets Dempsey back through, but I was about to say that Swain has found his way past Quidland. Quidland's come to an almost stop there. Could have been a slowdown that he just wasn't about to serve in time, and has had to give the position to Downey here. The podium for D2 is coming together here. 10th, 11th, 13th in class right now. Can Downey make his way past Harry Fox and try to make it a 3-car fight for the podium in the Division 2 category? Swain, though, has about 2 seconds to close up the gap to Mikael Lees if he is able to do that in the next, what is going to be 6 laps of racing. Back up to our defending Philip van der Herk with Conrad Bradbury behind. 0.3 of a second between these two drivers then as they head up towards turn number 5. Downey has got past Fox, by the way, as they are battling it out. Here they go. Fox moves his way back through. So Downey really trying his hardest to get involved in this fight here and try to get in line with his fellow D2 drivers. Downey, of course, battling Swain for the championship. So this is the race. As there's contact! Downey goes sideways. He settles itself down, though, and he gets himself behind Fox, letting them settle down. This could get Cridland involved in this one as well. I was about to say Downey sits in second in the championship. This is the race with the most points on offer. The reverse grid is going to place Downey ahead of Spain, but only by a couple of positions. It's not really going to be enough to take full advantage, as Bradbury has also made his way past Philip van der Herk and has now moved into 3rd position in this race. Great opportunity for him. Still a fight going on here for 7th. This is Codd leading McBuller and Cook. You have got Lees just behind this, though, and this is the trainer drivers that Jared Swain is trying to catch up to so he can fight with Lees. There's contact! Lees and Cook come together. Lees and Cook come together, which opens the opportunity here for Jared Swain to try and get past Mikael Lees, the number 55 machine. There's a little bit of contact between the two of them as they head up towards the final turn here. Well, the final collection of turns here. The gap at the front also down now to 0.4 for second. So the fight for T1 lead and the fight for D2 lead is very much on in the final 4 laps of this race. Here comes Swain, looks to the inside, possibly just trying to put on some pressure on Lees. It looked like it worked. Lees running a little bit slower into turn 1. Swain bumping his back end there. Of course, Swain has got some damage to the front end of his machine. Straight line speed isn't going to be the best, but this is a track full of corners and braking points, so I don't think it's going to affect him too much in the long run. Is he going to try a different racing line here as we go into turn number 4? Some smoke ahead from the battle ahead and also from Cook. Lees tried to avoid Cook there, swerves across the circuit and takes Swain off the track. The gap now 0.7 for second. Lees once again behind Cook. But Swain is not going to be happy with that move, I'm sure, with that little bit of contact there. Up into the final collection of corners. Into turns 8, 9 and 10. Lees continuing to lead the way here in the D2 class. He's pushed it hard though, he's pushed it wide, and here comes Jared Swain to close that gap once more. We've not ridden on board yet today, so here we go, and it's wide. It's wide for Jared Swain through turn number 1 as he follows behind Lees for the lead in the D2 class here. We are riding on board with Jared Swain. He is the D2 championship leader, moved into the championship lead after the Tsukuba round last week. Dives to the inside here. It becomes the outside of Lees. There's contact, there's tyre banging as through they go in towards turn 7. It is up the inside for Jared Swain. Swain has got the overlap here, is at the moment leading D2, but Lees is holding it on the outside. It can switch over, there's a little bit of contact and they settle themselves down. Jared Swain moves back into the lead of the D2 field as we saw behind Downey trying to fight with Fox, and it gives Cridland the opportunity to get involved here, and Matt Malone behind as well. All of these drivers trying to find any sort of position. Downey just trying to get up to the leading 2 in his class, but it looks like it will be 3rd in class for him The gap between El Hilary and Vukovic has opened up once more as Downey runs off the circuit. Next lap is going to be the final lap of the race. Gravel on the track there is going to cause a little extra understeer than usual through there, but not too much. Drivers like Zach Thibault here benefiting from a smaller field of D2 drivers today. He is at the very back of the field, but he is taking 6th in the race. Bear in mind, we have had races where there's been about 12, even up to I think 15 in one race of the D2 drivers. Just having 6 here is a great opportunity to get some really good results. The points not averaged out depending on how many drivers are involved. Edgar moves up the inside of Matt Malone there for overall position, but not for class position there. Could be a fight up ahead though. This is Cod chasing down McBuller. McBuller slid through turn 3 as we caught onto that fight going on for 7th there, but you can see the leaders coming up to the final turns here. Here comes Mohamed El Hilary on his return. He took pole position. He won heat race number 1 and he will win feature race number 1. Mohamed El Hilary takes the win. Vukovic takes 2nd. And it looks like Jared Swaim is going to win the D2 field. As he comes across the line, Dempsey and Malone fighting it out at the back of the field here in the D1 field. And it is going to be Dempsey ahead of Malone. Malone having to back out at the end there. Did he have a slowdown? I'm not sure. But he certainly lost an additional position to McIntyre. Only an overall position though, not a class position, fortunately for him. Let's have a look at how the results ended up after feature race number 1. Mohamed El Hilary won that one ahead of Vukovic by a 2nd. Conrad Bradbury, 7.5 seconds back, came in 3rd ahead of Philip van der Herk. Kevin Enfield took 4th ahead of Ian Lane. Clayton McBuller came home in 7th ahead of Mark Codd and John Cook. Jared Swaim won Division number 2, which is exactly what he needs, leading the Division 2 Championship. Mikael Lees took 2nd in class ahead of Harry Fox and 12th overall. Riley Downey took 3rd in the D2 class. Behind them and to the back of the field was Matty Gridland, Richard Edgar, Bob Poplar, Richard Dempsey, Peter McIntyre, Matt Malone, Luis Henriquez, Neil Rocks and Zach Thibault. And I think for the first ever time we have not had any DNFers out of any of the races so far. Will that be the same as we go into feature race 2? We've got a 2-minute warm-up. I am going to go grab myself a drink, so you go and grab yourself a drink too, and we will go and we'll have a break, and then we will be back for feature race number 2, where I will tell you what the reverse is going to be. We'll be back in a moment's time. Don't go anywhere. Hello everybody and welcome back to Winton Motor Raceway here for the Renault Clio League. We are here for the final race of the day. It is feature race number 2, and if I'm not mistaken, looking at the invert here, it is going to be the whole field for invert today. So that means we are going to have Zach Thibault on pole position here ahead of Neil Rocks. Behind him will be Luis Henriquez and Matt Malone, two Henriquez is going to be trying to take full advantage of this, I am sure. Peter McIntyre will start behind him, followed by Dempsey and Poplar. Edgar will then start behind him, and Cridland, Downey, Fox and Lees will follow behind. 10th position will be Jared Swaim, and then at the back of the field will be Cook, Codd, McBuller, Lane, Anfield, Vanderherk, Bradbury. And 2 of the fastest drivers in the series, Milan Vukovic and Mohamed El Halawi, will be starting from the very back of this field. Warm-up has come to a close here then, and we are about to prepare for the final race of the day. If you are new to this series, the final feature race 2, that inverted grid, a whole field invert today. It is 20 minutes long. Not the most points on offer because of the invert, but the most bonus points on offer, including the Hard Charger Award, which is awarded to the top 3 drivers who gain the most positions as the race happens. So we'll be trying to take full advantage of that. You've also got bonus points for having clean races as well. Something that it looks like is going to be a challenge here with some of the contact that we've been having in races so far. But it is Zach Thibault who is going to lead the way of this race. He's got Neil Rocks just behind, and then on the second row is Luis Henriquez. Henriquez has driven up 8 championship positions in the last 2 race weekends. Yes, there's not the most points on offer here. However, a win would definitely be beneficial for him. Vukovic and El Halawi from the back of the field are going to find it incredibly challenging to move their way through the field at such a close track, especially doing it cleanly. So what are they going to go for? Are they going to go for the Hard Charger Award? Are they going to try and get those bonus points for having no incidents? Will give you 6 bonus points, and I believe 4 or less will give you 3 bonus points. It may be 2 bonus points, but the grid is going to be lined up in the next 40 seconds, 20 minutes on the clock, and I cannot wait. I hope you can't either, because this race will mark the very halfway point in this championship, and we're not going to be back out on track for another 2 weeks. Monza is the next round in 2 weeks' time on September the 13th, so be sure to hit the follow button here on Twitch so you are notified when we go live. Also go check out the YouTube channel and subscribe so you can catch all the extended highlights, and you can catch up on all of the previous broadcasts as well. And head over to beehivebillbroadcasting.com to check out the live timing, all the championship information, and to hire me for your own iRacing leagues. We are getting ourselves ready on the grid then, as the lights are going to be displaying for the drivers. 20 minutes on the clock, and we are away. Zach Thibault launches off the line from first position here, and he tucks it in, and he will hold on to the lead. Neil Rocks looking to hold on to the lead of the D1 field ahead of Henriquez if he's able to. They can, as we jump towards the back of the field now and see if there is anything going on with the drivers towards the back here as they try to settle themselves down. Henriquez has made his way into second position, as there's not too many position changes at the back. Vukovic has gone up 1. El Halawi remains where he is. There was some contact towards the background though, definitely heard some cars crunching. Did not see if anyone went off though. It looks like they've all stayed on the track, which is the most important part here on the opening lap of the race as we head up towards the final selection of corners. Henriquez has moved his way into the lead of the D1 field. Matt Malone stuck behind Neil Rocks, could not follow Henriquez through. You should see the field settling down there. Vanderherk stuck at the back. Vukovic has gone up to 18th place and up 3 positions on the opening lap of this race. Malone close to the back of Neil Rocks still through turn number 1, but has got Dempsey just behind. Dempsey sniffing all over his rear, looks to the inside, can't do it. Matt Malone then goes defensive on the next corner to try and hold off that position towards the back of the field. Then this is Vukovic. Vukovic got past Bradbury. He is in 18th position. You see a couple of drivers ahead of him just pulling ahead. There is still some difficulties for these drivers moving through the field. It is a very hard track, and for a full invert as well, it's an extremely tight track, as this is Jared Swaim here side by side with Fox and Cridland as they continue to run a line with each other in yet another feature race here. Jared Swain now looking to try and move up some D2 positions, gets up the inside of Peter McIntyre, gets that position down as McIntyre is spun in the background. Dempsey is off in the foreground, and there's about 3 cars side by side through there. So a number of cars just going around, well, going slightly off there, but that's a shame for McIntyre. Just caught. It's an extremely tight part of the circuit, and there was about 3 wide going through there. It was never going to work out. Downey, Edgar Swain, 6th, 7th, 8th position overall at the moment. Thibaut still leads the way in Division 2. He has had some poor races so far this event, so he's being towards the back of the field most of today, but that has put him on pole position for the feature race 2, and he is taking full advantage of it at the moment. Here comes Vukovic up the inside of Ian Lane to try and take 15th overall. It is 10th in class, and he does so. Up towards the front again then, and it looks like they're settling themselves down. But you can see Thibaut Henriquez, they're 3 seconds ahead of Poplar, who is now in 3rd. So there are some definite issues going on here in about 3rd position as we come through into towards turn number 1. Different racing lines as we jump through, and it's just different racing lines all around, and forced off the track there. Richard Edgar. Edgar gets it back on, but we're trying to keep it on the surface as there's more contact behind. That's Vukovic involved behind, and is now side by side with Bradbury. More contact. Vukovic is forced onto the grass. He holds it. More contact. There's 3 cars side by side there. As there on the outside is El Hilary. El Hilary and Vukovic side by side. But Vukovic gained up a number of positions and has fallen back down again. As Van Herk is all the way at the back of here. Some of our fastest drivers really struggling to find their way through as there was contact, and around they all go. As they settle themselves down, the cars went around through turn 7. And they've sorted themselves out. Vukovic ahead of Herc, ahead of El Hilary. But you can just see how far in the lead the leading 2 drivers are. This is Henriquez. He's 7/10 of a second behind Thibaut out front. Poplar in 3rd. Matt Malone has got his way up the inside of Neil Rocks, and here comes Downey. Downey and Swain are together in 6th and 7th position. Downey on the outside here. It's a risk through the long turn 3, but it will give him the inside into turn 4 and turn 5, and he does so. That was least off the track into turn 4. But Downey moves past Rocks. Swain now trying to do the same as well, because he's going to want to try and overtake past Downey. Downey looks up the inside of Malone, can't do it. But this is side by side, Swain and Rocks. He does it. Here comes Richard Dempsey to try and take advantage of that though. Can Dempsey try and get up the inside of Rocks? He has to settle behind though. He's not going to be able to do anything with that as we ride on board with Richard Dempsey. Just see how close all of these drivers are, but back up as Dempsey heavily over the curbing there, and that's Downey and Malone without front bumpers, both of them over the curbing and into the wall. A huge amount of issues there for Downey. D2 championship contender has given Swain a real possibility to storm away at the lead here. He's not allowing it all to fall apart for him though. With that heavy damage on the front, he still remains racing, and he will try to catch up to Jared Swain, who is 2 seconds up the way. After that contact, Matt Malone was down pit lane with a meatball flag. So he is going to be out of this race, unfortunately, but it is Henriquez and Thibaut fighting it out here for the lead. You can see that's Poplar and Swain behind, fighting it for 3rd. These are over all positions. Downey has found his way back into 5th, by the way, but here comes Henriquez up the inside of Zach Thibaut. Thibaut holds it, though, and will hold the lead. Swain moves into 3rd overall. And will, to be fair, the D2 drivers are doing a great job here. They didn't all start at the front here, but they're certainly making their way up there. As Downey, you can see heavy damage, but is doing a great job to hold on to this. Ian Lane is down the order significantly, has gone off at the very start of the lap, as off the track and on the track as Lees takes out Anfield. More contact behind, as that was originally Edgar, I believe. No, that was originally El Hilaire who ran off the track and back on again. Contact! And big contact! And around goes Lees. Penalties, Lees, Anfield, and Vukovic! Milan Vukovic has finally had an extremely poor race, and once again it is in feature race 2. Milan Vukovic dives down pit lane to serve a penalty. Who can believe it? One of the best tracks to serve a penalty on, though. It is such a short pit lane, but it does put Vukovic all the way at the back. He was already there anyway, but a fight for the lead. Henriquez gets the inside of Thibaut through 5. It turns to the outside and 6. Back onto the inside and 7. Thibaut can't do anything more to hold on to that, and Luis Henriquez will take the overall lead of this race as we head up to about halfway through the race and into the final collection of corners, turn 8, 9 and 10. Thibaut will just be wanting to keep the gap to Jared Swain here, and I have to say, with that car damage, how is Downey doing this? How is Downey doing such a good job? We're riding on board with Bob Poplet just ahead, that he is able to keep such a huge amount of speed with that amount of damage. We saw a meatball flag for Matt Malone. He was down pit lane and out of this race. Lees looks like he has decided to abandon the race, and off the track goes Bob Poplet, and through goes Downey, and it off into the middle of nowhere is Neil Rocks, caught out by the mistakes in front of him. Rocks will have to recover, and he recovers all the way at the back of the field. But it is somehow Downey on the hunt once more. Can he catch up to Jared Swain and knock the Division 2 Championship leader down a position here? I think Swain's got good enough results here that he is going to hold on to the championship leader. However, Downey, due to there only being 2 D2 drivers in Heat Race 1, Downey very much could get himself back into the championship fight even closer here. But that all depends on what his result is here today in this race. Right now, the gap obviously quite big, and that damage certainly having an impact on them. Have a look. Here is Jared Swain. There was damage on his car in feature race 1. No damage here in feature race 2. He is the fastest man out on track right now, which is surprising to say because we can see some other drivers just not able to find their way through. Mohamed El Hilaire here, 15th position, just not able to find his way through. Let's see if we can see the biggest gainers so far. Van der Herk, Bradbury and Cook being the biggest gainers in this race. Actually, that's a good point. Van der Herk has made his way through, starting towards the back end of the field, started 19th position. He has made his way up into 8th position in this race. So Philip Van der Herk has done a phenomenal job indeed, unlike those that were around him at the start of this race, including this man here. Mohamed El Hilaire has had absolute dominant run so far. Qualified on pole, 1 heat race 1, 1 feature race 1. Is not able to find that time here as Jared Swain has just moved past Zach Thibaut. Thibaut's obviously made a mistake very recently, because that is a big amount of time lost all of a sudden for Jared Swain. For Zach Thibaut, because Jared Swain is now leading Division 2 here. Not what Riley Downey needs. Downey needed there to be some sort of issue between these two drivers. And I obviously realise now that I jinxed it at the end of feature race 1 when I said we'd had no DNFs so far this entire weekend, which was the first time we'd got to feature race 1. at the end of feature race 1 with no DNS, and here in feature race 2 we see Lease and Malone both out of this race, unfortunately. Bob Poplet and John Cook, they're in 5th and 6th position, and I believe there has just been a change between the two of them as they are hunting down for 2nd in class. This is for podium positions in the D1 category. The D1 category decided by the higher I rating, the D2 by the lower I rating. I'm not 100% certain what the cut-off is. It's something that I've been meaning to ask the league organiser Ian Lane, but if I'm not mistaken, the cut-off is 2.5k. I think it might be 2k, but it is certainly up there. Vukovic moves his way past Lane in 16th, stopping for 16th and 17th position down towards the back. Can Swain possibly find his way closer to Henriquez? That's a question here. But can Downey find his way any closer to Thibaut? I don't think he can. That damage on the front end there, you can just see the gap there. The damage on the front end, I think, is just a bit too much. And Mohamed El Hilary, a dominant run so far this weekend, receives a penalty. Richard Dempsey also with a penalty. We knew that this track was going to be challenging with how tight it was. We have seen incidents up and down the field. The good news is we have not caught any retaliations or intentional wrecks this week. We did catch a couple in the back of the screens last week that obviously were penalised, but those penalties obviously deterring any more issues this week, which is great. The contact that we have been seeing, just pure racing incidents, which does happen. Swain continuing to be a dominant force out on the track today. He was obviously 2nd fastest in the qualifying session, beaten only by El Hilary. He was faster than D1 dominator Milan Vukovic, and he is looking to get past Henriquez here for 1st overall. This is purely now for bragging rights to win overall, because it is not for class positions. So they are fighting purely for bragging rights here, as we have dropped from the expected 20 laps in this race to now expected 19. So the laps times being placed in by Henriquez out at the front, just not quick enough to go for the lap a minute. As a big mistake for Henriquez as he pushed too hard through the final turn. Jared Swain up the inside and into the lead of the overall race here. Dempsey down pit lane, and I believe out of pit lane without serving the penalty, or very possibly with a 2nd penalty here. Dempsey having issues. So does Mark Codd ahead. Look at that car, absolutely destroyed. These cars are being absolutely run ragged here today. There are more machines that I'd expect to see at my local banger racing track and demolition derby events than a Renault Clio race in Winton, Australia. But there you go. It is how it is, and right now it is Swain leading D2 and the overall lead Henriquez leading D1. Thibaut and Downey taking the rest of the podium in D2, and Cook and Van der Herk taking the podium in D3. In D1. Do you know what? Van der Herk has done an absolutely awesome job with these reverse races. We saw it last week at Tsukuba. Went from being, obviously had a really good result in feature race 1 with the dry tyre strategy in the wet, and then did a great job of recovering back onto the podium in feature race 2. Well, he's recovering onto the podium here. He did not finish on the podium in heat race number 1. He was beaten to that podium position, but he's going for the podium here. Can he catch up to Cook is the question. We're watching Poplar and Fox though. They're 7th and 8th position. They've got Bradbury just a little bit behind right now. 3 minutes left on the clock. It looks like El Hilary and Dempsey have both made their way down pit lane. They have it looks like El Hilary actually might be out of this race, which is a shame. Dempsey Yeah, El Hilary is out of this race. That is a real shame. Dempsey still has a penalty. He is back out on track though, I believe. But he does still have a penalty back there. Or is he back down pit lane again? Let's see. This note. No, he is back out, but he again has a penalty. I think he's been trying to repair damage there. So will we see him down pit lane to serve that black flag this time? Because I think if he doesn't serve it this time around, he is actually going to get disqualified from the race. As there continues to be a fight here, 7th and 8th, Poplar has got Fox looking for the outside. Fox has to back out of it because he has got to slow down out of the first 2 turns. Bradbury moves through and is now on the back end of Poplar. So that was a slowdown to Fox, has cost him not only the attempted overtake, but he has lost a position too. And will now have to try and get past the 11 machines, get back onto the 727. Up towards turn number 7 here. 2 minutes left, and because Swaim is now leading the way with a 102.6, we are anticipating 20 laps of racing once more. He is running fast enough to pull us to those 20 laps of racing. Mohamed El Hilary definitely out of this race, unfortunately for him, after such a dominant run. Fortunately, not too many points on offer for finishing positions here in this race, but he also is not going to receive any bonus points either. Up the inside goes Conrad Bradbury, looking up the inside of Poplar, can't do it. Could give an opportunity to Fox or to Cridland behind here, because Cridland is coming into play now. So is McBuller behind. And then we've got Richard Edgar. Edgar 4th in class in a Sainsbury's machine. Just behind here. Will he be trying to get involved in the fight or just keep it clean with an expected 2 laps to go at the end of this lap? But right now it is Poplar leading this train of drivers. In fact, let's ride on board. This is the view behind as he's got Bradbury around the outside. Thibaut and Downey are fighting it out. This is for 2nd in class, and Downey with his absolute destroyed machine goes on to what, the white flag is out, but I don't believe this is the white flag lap. It is not. Downey moves into 2nd in class. Here comes Swain. It's 30 seconds on the clock. It's actually going to be incredibly tight as to whether this is going to be the last lap or not. But Fox has got a penalty. McBuller has got a penalty. If this is the final lap, it is. It's the final lap of the race. Here comes Jared Swain. There just wasn't quite enough time, and the white flag has appeared out of nowhere. And here comes Jared Swaim to win D2 and overall. Jared Swaim, D2 championship leader, wins feature race 2. Luis Enriquez wins the D1 field, and somehow the destroyed machine of Downey takes 2nd in class ahead of Thibaut as a tyre comes back to attack them all. Huge amount of contact at turn 1, as everyone does. The expected turn 1 crash that is almost mandatory in the Clio Leagues. Huge death. Huge death as that race comes to a close. And feature race 2 ends here at Winton. Let's have a look at how the results ended. Jared Swaim won that one with some really good speed as well. Did not start up there. Had to move his way up the field. And he did so extremely well to take the overall win here. Luis Enriquez came home first in the D1 class. Riley Downey and Zach Thibaut rounded out the podium in D2, and Cook and Van der Herk rounded out the podium in D1. A great move up the order also for Van der Herk. Conrad Bradbury and Harry Fox came just behind, followed by Richard Edgar in D2, and Bob Poplar rounded out our top 10. Vukovic took home 11th in the end somehow after serving a penalty as well. Ian Lane took 12th ahead of Matty Cridland and Kevin Anfield. Peter McIntyre took 15th overall. Neil Rocks came behind that, followed by Clayton McBuller, who got a penalty on the last lap, and therefore you can see that is why he is plus 18 seconds, but is placed behind Neil Rocks. Mark Codd was the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Richard Dempsey was a lap down and finished 19th. El Hilary retiring from the race with 4 laps to go. Michael Lees ended the race early with 11 laps to go, and Matt Malone went out on the same point he had that accident with Riley Downey. That's who I was going to say. Downey also had an accident, but Matt Malone went out of the race, unfortunately. But that is all of the racing done here at Winton, and it is the first half of our season complete for the Renault Clio. Let's try that again for the Renault Clio League Season 2. This is what happens when you've been yelling for 2 hours straight. We are going to be back in 2 weeks' time at the Autodromo di Nazionale Monza for round number 7 in the Italian shut up, I'm reading the chat there. Yes, in the Italian country. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. It's the junior circuit, so the really short layout, and the circuit that I have not actually seen raced at or raced at myself in about 15 years. So this is going to be a huge amount of fun. No race next week then, so do take a breather. Get yourself ready for the back half of the season as we leave America and the east area of the world, and we head over to Europe for the back end of this championship. If you want to catch up on all of the previous races, then do go over to the Beehive Bill Broadcasting YouTube channel. You can get there by going to youtube.com/@BeehiveBill. All of the previous live streams are available to watch, and all of the extended highlights as well. Returning on September the 13th will also be the Matt Malone Patreon League for season number 2, which will take place just before the Renault Clio League. So it'll be back-to-back action once more, like we have seen in the past. So if you want to hear me yelling for 4 hours straight, come and watch that one as well. If you would like to hire me for your own iRacing leagues, then head over to beehivebillbroadcasting.com and you can inquire about me broadcasting for your iRacing leagues at a very good price of £25 per hour at the least for your broadcasting. Any of your broadcasting concerns. It is going to be fantastic, though, that we have got 2 events coming up once again. I love the double features. But yes, until Monza, do check out the YouTube channel to watch the highlight videos, which will be up. Unfortunately, I am out tomorrow, so there'll be no highlight video available until Monday evening at the very earliest. But do go over to the YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button to be notified when those are released. Also, do be sure to hit the follow button here on Twitch. It greatly supports me. It shows me that you enjoy what I do, and it also allows me to continue to broadcast all of these amazing events. In order for me to get into each of these race weekends, of course, I do also have to purchase all of the iRacing circuits and tracks, as well as having an active iRacing subscription. So if you would like to support me even further, then please do consider subscribing here on Twitch, where you will have access to a range of emotes that will be coming out over the next couple of weeks, ready for the September 13th round. Until next time, though, I hope you have enjoyed. I look forward to sharing more racing with you, so be sure to come back in a couple of weeks as we return for Season 2 of the Renault Clio League and for round number 7 at Monza. Until then, I say goodbye. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Saturday night, the lights come alive, engines roar tonight. We drive from Laguna Seca to Asha Slibben's course, Clio warriors lining up with full force. Heat races. 12 weeks, 12 tracks, 12 fights to the end. From the club to the international bands. Broadcast live for the world to see. Clio League, this is where we wanna be. Clio League, Season 2. We race, we fight, we battle through. Heat race